This is the top barbers business model. Generating higher paying clients that are willing to pay you more, and you can make more income without scaling the amount of hours you work behind the chair. How many cuts would you have to do at $50 in order to make 20K a month? $50 haircuts 400 times in a month would make you 20,000 in a month. 400 haircuts, 4 weeks is 100 cuts in a week. 100 cuts in a week, if you do 5 days of work, is 20 cuts per day. Drop in the chat if you've done 20 haircuts in a day before. I was never a volume barber. I never wanted to be the guy that cut hair for 20 hours in a day, 20 haircuts in a day. That's about 10 to 16 hours of work per day with no lunch breaks, depending on how fast you guys cut hair. There's an upside is that you made a lot of money. Downside is you have no life. You're going to be cutting hair till your arm falls off, your shoulders hurting, your back's hurting, and you're definitely out of shape. You definitely aren't hitting the gym. You definitely aren't pouring into yourself. Your relationship with yourself is probably going downhill, same with your family, but you're chasing down cash. You're making money. And you end up hating life, and work becomes your life. A lot of barbers fall into this hamster wheel where they wake up and immediately go straight to the shop. They cut hair all day long. They get home from the shop, not to edit videos and improve their marketing and their brand, but literally just to pass out, eat some terrible fast food with no energy, go straight to sleep, wake up and do the same thing again. And this is what we call the barber hamster wheel. How many cuts would you have to do at $200 like I did to make 20K in a month? $200 haircuts, if you did that 80 times in a week, would be $16,000 in a month. Now, my average tip was $50 when I was at $200 haircuts. And if you got 80 $50 tips, that puts you at 20K a month. So $80 haircuts, 4 weeks, that's only 20 cuts a week. And for me, I worked 7 days a week. Why? Because I cut from home. So I never minded if someone booked randomly on a Sunday, 3 haircuts, right? I'm just going to be chilling here in my kitchen, in my living room, chopping up their hair. If I ever did a house call, then I would do it on the weekend. Doesn't matter what day of the week. So when you make 20K in a month from 80 haircuts a month, you really don't mind what day of the week that they book. But you have the flexibility to be like, you know what, I'm going to control my schedule. I have a family. I only want to work these days of the week. But for me, it was 20 haircuts a week, 5 days of work, 4 cuts a day. I would do sometimes 3 cuts in a day and make $1,000. And people, when they hear that, would be like, yeah, right. There's no way that that's possible. Well, the good thing is if you scroll through my highlights on my Instagram, I posted my tax receipts to Uncle Sam, bank statements, just so I could prove it. I already knew when I did this that no one really believed it. So I showed my income and paid taxes as a barber, a 20K a month barber. And that was a price I paid, but this shows you guys the math to make 20K a month as a barber at a high price, because if you want to live a high ticket life, you need a high ticket service. You have to sell high ticket items, and haircuts usually aren't that unless you're someone who's willing to scale to 100 plus, 150, 200 for a haircut. The pros and cons here is the pros are that you work less and make more. It's more sustainable, and you create a time freedom hack, which enables you to now allocate time to other business ventures to create even more time. Because it's no secret that becoming a content creator, an online coach, is the single best way to make money in the modern day. And no one can argue with that. Other barber coaches, drop shippers, day traders, e-com guys, whatever business model people are doing, they're literally all content creators. Look at Iman Gadzhi, Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone. Look at Gary Vee. All these top people, they don't have the balls usually to expose that they actually make more money by teaching the thing than they do by doing the thing. Do you guys think Grant Cardone made all his money just through real estate, or did he do it through selling online education? Okay, I'll be honest. As a barber coach, I make way more than I did as a barber. So that's the point of scaling your barber business, is so you have time to work on the next more profitable business model. But if you're just a hamster in a wheel and relying on your time to make your money every day, you'll never see the fast growth. At 27, I bought a Rolls Royce. It was 300,000. It's a 2021. And I stay in an apartment in downtown Miami, 50 floors up. Guys, this didn't come from just cutting hair alone. I had to scale barbering and then move to the next business model. So fill the current space you're in as fast as you can and then move to the next thing. And this is essentially what we're all going for, is time freedom. We chose barbering as our time freedom hack, but most barbers never experience the freedom. The old model isn't optimized for the type of growth that they need in order to make this a reality. The old barbering model relies on you working all day just to make money. And the downside of that is most barbers do not know how to get clients to pay them $200, let alone $100. So this is the key. Business success just comes down to how well you can solve problems, how well you can become known for the problem you solve and build a brand around the guy who is trustworthy at solving that issue. For me, it was receding lineups and patchy beards. The two things that I actually suffer from is what I ended up becoming known for. Why? Because I posted self cuts. I would cut my own hair and people saw, wow, he fixed his own haircut, patchy beard, etc. I trust him to cut mine. That is probably the biggest gem. If you could leave this video with something as a barber, is that you should be recording you cutting your own hair every week until you have at least 10,000 followers on the gram. That's what I did. And then guess what happened? I realized that's what got me the followers. So why would I stop? So I just kept going and pushed that same method, as well as all the other haircut clients I would record. So problems are inevitable no matter which direction you turn. The key is choosing the easiest problem to solve to give you the highest probability of success and allows you to have success long term. So what's easier to solve and can be done for a long time? See, the problem with the old model, which would be you trying to find enough energy to just willpower your way through 12-hour days in the shop, cutting 20 haircuts a day, year after year, or just solve the problem of learning how to generate $200 haircut clients. And the next question that people ask me is, well, Joel, like, is this even possible? Can anyone even do this? No. Most barbers will be very closed off to this way of running a business because they don't know how business works. The normal desire for increased wealth is not an evil or a crazy thing. A lot of barbers think that charging more money is wrong, that making more money is wrong, that no one would pay that amount for a haircut. Nothing is more obvious than the fact that this barber is a cheap person in their own life and has a terrible worldview of how money and business works. When they get a great service at a restaurant, they don't tip. That's why their clients don't tip them when they leave the chair. Think about this. Why would it ever be bad to charge more? Why would it ever be bad to make more money? Why do you think that no one would pay that much for a haircut? Here's the truth. People just trade money for value. Value is created by solving problems. And most barbers do a clean fade and a quick lineup, but they don't actually solve a real hair problem like a receding hairline or a patchy beard or the shape not fitting the client's head shape, the shape of the haircut not complementing the structure of their jawline. These are problems. And what's worse is that these guys, barbers, don't think they need to take care of their clients or that it would be bad to charge their clients this. They feel like it's stealing. Probably the worst thing I've heard is like, bro, I don't want to raise my price on my day one clients because they've been with me from the jump. Like, that'd be wrong. Bro, what? Everything goes up in price every year and no one bats an eye. But when you go to chase excellence as a barber, you self-impose a ceiling on yourself and say that it's wrong and stay in a shame cycle for months and years. I've seen this. Here's the reality. If clients don't want to pay you $200, they won't pay it. You won't be stealing or holding a gun to the client's head. They simply are just going to go to a cheaper barber. You're not mommy or daddy to your clients, bro. In fact, you're trying to be that role by taking care of them. That's what's leading you to a path where you're not making the money that you want to make for your family. And you're putting yourself and your family in a worse situation by being so soft, by being scared to go for what's yours, right? Basically, you're just screwing yourself over by not taking your business more seriously and creating made up stories and situations like, oh, he's probably going to hate me. They're going to gossip about me. usually I can trace that back to a barber's childhood when they got bullied. For me, I got bullied. I honestly did get bullied at the lunch table in high school. I was like a freshman in high school by my best friends too. So like I didn't even really know where to go. I was like, shit, if I don't sit at this lunch table, there's nowhere else to sit. Like I'm gonna just be the kid. Like that's gonna make it worse. Now they're gonna bully me for sitting on my own. So I would just sit through it. And my point is that that ended up showing up, that fear of rejection and fear of abandonment, right? That's what showed up for me when it was time to raise my prices. That's what we do in our program is we literally help you break through the limiting beliefs and blocks that have stopped you from the success that you easily could have if you would just stop getting in your own way. It's the coaching program I always needed. And that's why it makes it very easy. And I'm very passionate about doing one-on-one calls and really mentoring people in person and giving them, you can tell a coach cares when he gives you time on his calendar. That's one thing that a lot of people won't do in the situation I'm in. I literally will toss you the keys to my roles, bro. Like when you come to Miami, you'll get the keys to my car and I'll be like, come on up, bro. Come see the crib. Let's record a podcast together, right? Let's go eat. Let's hit the gym. So this is what I want you guys to realize is that when you follow this method, you will gain a continuous increase for yourself and you will advance. This is a quote from the book, The Science of Getting Rich. You will advance all who deal with you by holding an unshakable faith that by increasing your life, you're giving advancement to everybody around you. And they will feel the sense of increase when they are in your presence and they'll be attracted to you. Others will feel that by associating with you, they get an increase for themselves. And we will see it to it that the problem we solve for them is more impactful than the cash value that we take from them. Come on, man. Don't let that one go over your head. When I was a $200 a cut barber, people used to think that that's all I was doing was cutting the client's hair. Nope. I was a coach. I'm a coach now. Some people call me a life coach. I really do a lot more than just barber business coaching. But the truth is, I was holding my clients accountable on reading books, on the music we listened to when they were in the chair was different. The documentary we would watch would be Floyd Mayweather, going after his 50th wins. It would be the Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan. My point is, it was inspirational. They came to me and they felt a feeling of increase and advancement because I was someone who was growing. So that when they were in my presence, they've never felt a barber this locked in before. I was irreplaceable. It wasn't a haircut. A haircut is replaceable for sure. They can find someone who won't push their lineup back. It's a little harder, but the reason that I scaled and built a brand for myself was because when people sat in my chair, they could tell something about this was different. And I always say different is better than better. I heard that from a mentor. This is the question I want to ask you guys. Can you do this in your business? Well, it's going to depend on a few things. First of all, what is the problem in your business? You might not know this, and we're going to help you define that. And then what is your solution to the problem? And did you choose the right problem to solve? And is your problem, your solution, even the best solution? So if you're a 140-pound skinny twig that wants to gain muscle, like I was in high school, you're probably thinking that genetically you were born with a deformity that you can't get jacked. And if you think that, you won't do anything since you don't believe there is a solution. However, the problem with being that skinny twig is that their diet consists of cereal and pizza and a vegan burger. That's how I was eating. I was eating 100 grams of protein a day when I needed double that. I needed 200 a day, right? But this is an exact replica of a barber situation who thinks that their location is the problem and that they're doomed to charge low prices forever due to their city. We've gotten a barber in a small town to charge 250 plus and make over $26,500 behind the chair in a month due to clients driving and even flying in hours away. That's the gentleman's maven. His name is Kendall. Look him up on Instagram. So see, just like the skinny twig thinking that's genetics, it wasn't your genetics. It was your paradigm, your worldview, and your habits. It's not your location, but it's how you're getting clients. That's the issue. Bro, the way you're getting clients is by taking walk-ins, business cards, and referrals. These are all going to lead to cheap people in your business. The clientele that don't tip, the clientele that don't bring you new clients, that don't say, yo, come check out my man Jay Faded. He's the best barber in LA. Look at that, man. This cut is perfect. They don't They don't give you referrals. And that's the reason that most barbers can't do this. It really boils down to their inability to understand what is holding their business back. And if we can identify the problem and identify the correct solution, we can get the outcome we want. This is an example of identifying a problem but the wrong solution. Skinny Twig eating 1,000 calories a day of cake and ice cream, switching to whole foods, chicken and rice, but still eating 1,000 calories. I still won't gain weight due to not being in a calorie surplus, because whatever calories I'm burning, which for me is like 3,000, 4,000 a day, there's just no way that I can gain weight if I eat only 1,000 calories, even if the food is clean. So my point is, you have to solve the correct problem. At the end of the day, just switching from cake and ice cream to chicken and rice, that's great and all, but my physique didn't change. And so what is not your problem in business? Most barbers think it's their location, their city, their skill level, or that the clients are broke. Yeah, it's these cheap clients, bro. There's two things I hear most from barbers. I have cheap clients and life be lifing. And every time I hear that, I just look at them and I say, bro, you're not stuck in a 5K a month barber business. You're stuck in a 5K a month version of you. Ooh, you are a 5K a month person, dog. And it doesn't matter what business model you pick until you fix yourself, the man in the mirror, those business problems all stemming from your personal life, your business can't thrive. Life isn't lifing, and it's not your broke clients. It's you. So let's break this down, because both of those are not the true reason why you can't charge $200. And if I don't break this down, what you'll go through is thinking that this belief that one of these is the problem and you'll never do the work. First of all, people think I can't charge that because it'll cause a conflict in the shop. And another one is that they lack the experience to start charging more. Another one is that no one charges that in my city. I can't charge that much, Joel. That's crazy. Another one is that, oh, Joel, none of my clients will pay that price. No one in my city will pay that. We have a barber named Drew. He's in our program. Drew cut it out. And he explained that he used to charge 50, 60, and that was the cap. There was a barber in his city who was charging that, and he was like, that's the most I can get. He now charges 125. And it was a paradigm shift for him to realize he could pass up the OGs in his city and be the top barber. And adding new services and doing house calls in order to charge more is something that people do. They'll say, I got to give everything under the kitchen sink, right? It's not mandatory. There's some barbers in our program who charge 100 plus who just literally give only a haircut. For me, I did. I included whatever I needed at the time. If it was a shampoo, if they had dandruff, I would do it, right? My whole goal was just to over deliver. Not for that client in my chair, believe it or not, but for the video I was making. I was like, bro, I'm about to post this on my brand. I viewed my Instagram as this insane marketing machine. So I was like, I can't post this regular haircut. I have to post this shampoo, Barbasol, hot towel, wave treatment, and leaning back in the chair, bringing back up with after the razor session, and then showcase with the steamer aftershave machine, right? Like, I really promoted myself to a higher status. And adding new services and doing house calls to charge more is another way. Barbers think that's the only way to make that much. People often are in disbelief until I show the proof, the receipts. I was a certified bag chaser as a barber. I would go to a house call and come back with $1,000. Often, all the time. Sometimes from one client, sometimes because I would do a multitude of people all in one location. I cut hair on set for celebrities, big productions, right? Where I'm not getting paid by that person. I'm getting paid by a production, a team where they have a budget for that specific event, that production. Okay. Now, again, these are all limiting beliefs barbers have where they say there's the only way I can charge more is if I have a house call. No, I was still making $200 for simple haircuts in my kitchen, right? People would book and pay before they came in. So what is the problem in your business? It's the way you're marketing, right? You're relying on business cards and walk-ins, and that's not going to get it done. You don't know how to generate new higher paying clients and thinking that all you have to do is wait for time to play out. More of the same is going to get you more of the same, man. I've heard this a lot. Like, no, I want to see if I can just figure this out on my own first. Like, I kind of see what you guys are doing. Let me just try to make my own videos for a while. I'll come back if I need any help. Bro, the worst thing you can do is waste time. And the price that you could save by not investing in a mentor is nothing compared to the price you're going to pay by figuring it out on your own. The trial and error. When there's already someone who's mastered it and gone farther, faster, you're getting passed up by people who are investing in this mentorship. Think about the other barbers in your city. Do you want them to get their hands on this before you do? Man, bro, I don't. I want you to be the one that wins. So thinking that all you have to do is wait for time to play out, that's not the mindset of a winner. The mindset of being a martyr figure, oh, if I just suck it up long enough, I'll be rewarded 20 haircuts in a day. I can do it. And then you come home and your back's like throbbing and you can barely walk the next day, and then you just go do it again. And then you burn out, and for a week you have to take a vacation because you're like in the hospital. Like, bro, this is not the way. I don't know how long it takes people to realize the old way of doing business as a barber is not going to get them the financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom that they desire. The worst one is lack of education and seeking education. Pride and ego really is what it is, thinking that you know it all. For me, I was at $35 a haircut for 2 years, and I was afraid to admit it that I was stuck. Everybody could see it, though, in the barbershop, that my clients would come to me. The next week, they go to a different barber. I was so bad at retaining clients. I once had a client say, "You're the worst barber I've ever had. I'm never coming back to you," because I nicked his lineup, gave him a patch. And I would just shrug it off. I was so delusional. I'd be like, oh, no, it's no big deal. Like, he just wasn't my client, you know? So I needed to realize that was my pain point that I should have been marketing myself for being the solution to. And the biggest thing is fear of taking the next step in business. So now what I'm going to do is explain why it's your mission to make more money. I want you guys to think of everything you want out of life: peace, comfort, freedom, status, impact, contribution. All these things can be tied to making more money. You can't have peace while being stressed over bills and rent that you're behind on. You can't have comfort if you're living below your means in a rundown apartment with less than $1,000 in your bank account, which is literally 90% of barbers. I can't even like make this up when I say 90% of barbers have less than $1,000 in their bank account. They make $4,000 a month, and they charge roughly $30 a haircut. They make $1,000 a week, and they're just check to check. If something bad happens, they're in a tough spot. You know, they have terrible credit. Uh, they have no savings. They have no plan. They are literally just drifting through life, celebrating when there's nothing to celebrate, not the best version of themselves. It's all bad. This is not freedom. You know, like, you can't have freedom if you're the only way you're able to live is by working 12 hours a day, day after day. And you're just working to live at that point. I told myself in high school, like, I sat down with the teacher and I was like, why am I learning this? It's like some mathematic formula for how to measure the acute triangle BS, right? And I'm like, when am I ever going to need this, you know, like for the life that I want to live? And she couldn't explain it to me. And so I just feel like most barbers don't think. There's mental activity happening, but that doesn't constitute thinking. They're not like, oh, hey, if I keep doing the same thing I'm doing, will I still be here next time this year, that the same time next year? Bro, I just talk to barbers who are okay with where they're at, and they're not gonna get the things they want because they have a paradigm and worldview that it's wrong to strive for more. So you can't have status in life without accomplishing something of a substantial worth. You can't have freedom. What do all these things have in common? They all require you to make more money and improve your financial situation. But most barbers rarely give any time or thought towards the amount of money they want to make, how much they would need to make, or they don't have any plan about their finances. So I want you guys to ask yourself, when was the last time you sat down to think how much money you wanted to make per month? How much you want to make per month? And then be honest, as the answer for most of you will likely be, you've never sat down and thought of it. See, too many barbers never think about money, and this is why most barbers struggle to make more money or make any financial progress in their business and life. Bro, you're broke. And now I want you to think about why you should make money and who you need to make money for. See, a lot of barbers act like a martyr. Oh, I'm fine. I don't need money. What about the people you take care of? I literally pay my mom's. I went to my mom's apartment here in Miami today. I pay the rent, not just here, but there. I pay for her rent and my rent. She's able to move to Miami stress free because she knows her bills are paid. I pay her gym membership. I pay her phone bill. I pay her home rent. Like, why are you not thinking about the people that got you in the position you're in life that you wouldn't be here without repaying them? It's extremely selfish, bro. Like self-centered, selfish. You're just living for you, your own pleasure. What about those who are dependent on you to make more money? This could be your parents. One day their health will wither away and you'll need them to be looked after. Will you be able to look after them, or will you just shove them into a nursing home because you have to work all day and can't take time off? What about your siblings who never grew up with anything and you want to show them a better life than you had? What about your future kids? Would you want them to have the same or less? Or would you want them to have more than you ever had growing up? And think about more than just yourself here, because more isn't selfish unless you are a selfish person. More money just exposes more of what you were without that money. So now I want you to think, why have you held yourself back from making more money that you would need to make in order to take care of these people? And what BS stories have you made up in your head that you need to let go of so you don't tell yourself, oh, it's no big deal. I don't need money. So you can actually get hungry to improve your life, your business, make money, and stop making excuses. And why have you been so selfish and not making more money? Why did you make up a lie that making money is selfish when it's more selfish to stay in the same place and not improve your financial status? And instead, you choose to be this lazy barber on a hamster wheel, doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result, and have ego and pride thinking that what you're doing is working when you clearly see it hasn't for the last 5 weeks, months, years. I don't know how long barbers will wait to see this truth. And understand this, in order to truly live the life you want, to be able to take care of the loved ones you have and give them the life they deserve, you need to make it your mission to make more money. And does this mean that you will be a bad person? No. There are bad people who are poor, and there are bad people who are middle class, and there's bad people who are rich. Money just shows and exposes more of who you already are on the inside. So if you didn't give 10% of your income to those in need when you were poor, they say if you won't give a dime out of a dollar, you won't give uh, a dollar out of a million, right? Bad people are bad people. Money has nothing to do with it. Money is not evil. Money is just to exchange for value. So if the homeless man is just sitting on the side of the street asking for change, he has gave nothing to the world. He's homeless simply because he didn't give service. Whereas the billionaire who got rich, he has 100 people under him giving service, and he's servicing those 100 people. He's serving millions. No wonder he's a billionaire, right? You just have to work your way up that ladder of service. And there's a few things holding you back from your mission that we're going to fix in the following modules. First of all, you need to understand, how much do you want to make? Favorite quote from Nipsey Hussle. He said, "Don't be surprised if you don't get what you never wanted. I'm on my fifth fly whip while you ain't never stunted." Never going broke. Funny because I never budget. And a lot of people around now that I never mess with. So don't be surprised if you don't get something you never even wished for. You didn't like go to manifest it and pray for it and write it down every day. And like, you don't even know what you want, clearly. A man who knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. That's my boy Seneca right here. Stoic wisdom, man. And I need you to get clear on what it is that you want. And second, you must stop the bleeding of the money that you're already making. Meaning, if you're making 4K a month and you're spending all four, but you know you're buying chicken wings and beers on the weekends and celebrating failure, how about we stop the bleeding there? Boom, you're automatically up $400 a month just off of not going out to eat with your boys. Most of you have made more than 100K as a barber so far since you started cutting hair. So go ahead. Let's do an exercise. Look at your bank account. What's left in there? Where did it all go? See, your broke mindset and broke habits allowed your hard work to go to waste. And maybe you need to move back in with your parents. Maybe you need to sell that new Tesla that you just bought. That shit is not as cool as you think. It's not impressing anybody. All it's doing is burning a hole in your pocket from the little money that you're making. Maybe you need to trade in that car. Maybe you need to stop being a dumbass, smoking weed and partying, thinking that you are Wiz Khalifa as a barber. Wiz Khalifa makes money off the strands, off the music videos and the movies and the whatever. You're not him, bro. You don't make money from smoking weed, right? It's not part of your brand. Like, instead of flexing all that foolery when you have less than 50K in your bank as a business owner at over the age of 21, how about we just lock in? Wow. Wow, how about we admit it? You don't have 10K in the bank, you shouldn't even be considering looking at the opposite sex. You shouldn't even be considering going out and partying. You shouldn't even be considering taking a trip or a vacation. Bro, work-life balance, people act like that's a thing that you should be considering at the age of 21. Brother, until you're well off and your family's taken care of, that's all you should be doing. Working on yourself, working on your business, working on yourself, working on your business. And when I say yourself, I mean God, personal development, pouring into your own cup, and then the rest of the day it overflows. And finally, you must start increasing the money that you keep. And we'll go over this later. We'll help you track your finances. I did this today with one of my students for the first time. He began tracking his income and his expenses. So stop making money the enemy or the bad guy, because that has not helped you at all to improve your life or your financial situation. And becoming and contributing, all we can become and give is where fulfillment is found. And our desire to do it is the proof that you have within you and that you have the power to do it. You realize what that means. If you have the desire, God would not have gave you that unless he gave you also the power to achieve your goal. It only needs to be developed and applied in the right way. And Top Barber's mission is to help you become your best self and adapt to how the real world works and operates.